What if Luffy and Nami confess their love for each other and get married? How would every One Piece character react to this shocking news? Zoro? He would think it's embarrassing. Yeah, if he sees Luffy and Nami try to kiss, he will literally jump off the ship. And every time he sees them being all lovey-dovey, he's gonna be grumbling in the background like, can you two focus on your damn jobs? But honestly, he actually wouldn't care that much, because as long as Luffy and Nami are happy, then Zoro's obviously gonna be happy too, as he cares about both of them a lot and wants them to be happy. Although it might not always look like he cares about them, especially Nami, when she forces him to pay back money he borrowed from her with insane interest. But even though Zoro doesn't care all that much about Luffy and Nami getting married, he'd be so hyped for the wedding. Why? Because there will be so much sake. So Zoro's literally just gonna be drinking all night, having the time of his life. But instead of talking about Zoro, I know the person you all want me to talk about, and that's obviously Sanji. Yeah, this guy would lose his mind. The second Sanji finds out that Luffy and Nami are getting married, he's literally gonna drag Luffy into the darkest corner of the Sunny and just rage and scream at him like, how could you do this to me? Then he's gonna run straight to Nami, drop to his knees, and beg her to rethink and choose him as her man instead. I mean, we all know how Sanji's been simping for Nami since the second he saw her at the Barati. And now he literally does anything for her, and he caters to her every single day by making her special drinks and food. So yeah, now that Nami's chosen Luffy instead of him, his heart will literally shatter. He's gonna lock himself in his room for days, crying his eyes out, and the crew will literally just hear him yell stuff like, life is so unfair, this is a crime against love, and why not me? And honestly, he's even gonna consider leaving the crew. But yeah, in the end, Sanji loves both Nami and Luffy too much to leave. So he's gonna accept the situation, though he's obviously gonna cry a lot during the wedding, but he will still stay as the Straw Hats chef because he loves them both and wants them to be happy. So he's actually gonna be happy in the end. But someone who would literally burn down the wedding is Boa Hancock. Yeah, once she sees that someone other than her is going to marry Luffy, she's gonna lose it. She'd think that Nami just took Luffy prisoner and forced him to marry her. So she would instantly take all the Kuja and set sail super fast to help her future husband and set him free. But then, when Luffy tells her that it's actually true, Hancock's gonna break. She'd instantly try to kill Nami, but when Luffy stops her, she's just gonna burst out in tears and beg him to marry her instead. I mean, this woman has been fantasizing about marrying Luffy for years. So now that her dream is crushed, she wouldn't just be heartbroken, she would literally die. Yeah, I'm not kidding. You see, Hancock being the empress of the Kuja tribe means she's got a disease called love sickness that every Kuja empress gets when they fall in love with a man. Yep, it's a real disease that's actually killed a lot of Kuja empresses in the past. And Hancock almost died back when she met Luffy for the first time. Because remember when she collapsed and got really sick after meeting him? That was the love sickness. But she actually managed to hold the disease back after accepting that she was in love with him and followed him to Impel Down. But the disease is not gone, as she literally stopped eating and sleeping when she was worried about Luffy. So anyway, now that Luffy is going to marry someone else, she will collapse, get really sick, and eventually just die. Crazy, right? But okay, let's move on to Akainu, because he would also be raging. We all know how much he absolutely hates the Straw Hats, especially Luffy. Because in Akainu's eyes, Luffy is a walking disaster, a chaotic pirate who threatens the justice in the world. So if he heard that two Straw Hats were getting married, he'd be disgusted. You'd see him charging in right behind Hancock to do absolutely everything in his power to crash the wedding. I mean fire everywhere, lava raining from the sky, and guests running for their lives. Because a wedding won't save Luffy from Akainu trying to turn him into a donut. Next up, let's talk about Luffy's grandpa, Monkey D. Garp. And he'd literally start screaming about what a total idiot grandson he has. Yeah, seriously. I know you probably thought Garp would be super happy for Luffy, since Garp loves his grandson more than anything in the world. But nah, Garp will be so angry, because Garp absolutely hates that Luffy is a pirate. I mean, we literally saw him try to beat Luffy into becoming a Marine. But now that Luffy's not only a pirate himself, but also marrying one, Garp's gonna explode. So he's straight up gonna smack Luffy on the head, yell at him for being dumb, and then try to convince him into marrying a nice Marine girl instead. Still though, you just know Garp would be sitting at the wedding, stuffing his face with cookies. Because at the end of the day, he's still gonna accept it and be really happy for his grandson. But let's go back to the Straw Hats and talk about Usopp, because he will be shocked when he sees that his two best friends are getting married. Though he will actually be super happy for them, as he thinks they both deserve to be happy. But then, he's gonna see his chance to take his rightful place as captain of the crew. So he's gonna ask Luffy if he should take over as captain so he can focus on being together with Nami, seeing as, well, we all know how Nami can be. But that obviously wouldn't happen. Still, Usopp would absolutely be terrified. Why? Well, as I said, Usopp thinks Nami is the scariest person in the entire world. So yeah, he's literally gonna be worried for Luffy's life. I mean, she's literally locked him in a cage. She's also punched him like 1,000,000 times, with Usopp even trying to calm her down. So what will he do? Well, he's gonna go talk to Chopper because he also thinks Nami is the scariest person in the entire world. So he's gonna be shocked when he hears the news, and he's even gonna check their pulses together with Usopp to make sure that they are really okay and not sick or delirious. But once he realizes it's real and they're totally fine, he's gonna start blushing like crazy, because he's super happy for Luffy and Nami and thinks it's super romantic. Yeah, he's literally gonna be crying out of pure happiness for them. Then, during the wedding, Chopper will just be running around like a crazy person, as he'd take the title as the official wedding doctor with everyone counting on him. So he's gonna man up and take on the responsibility, being ready with his doctor gear at all times. Moving on to Franky, and he would be so hyped, because he would want to build a heart-shaped ship that they can use to get married on. Yeah, he's so happy for both of them, and he will obviously be crying his eyes out, because this huge cyborg is actually just such a softie, and he of course loves love. But what about Brook? Well, he'd ask Nami to see her wedding panties. Yep, that's it for Brook. So let's just move on to Nico Robin, and she's gonna be so happy for them. I mean, Robin sees both Luffy and Nami as her family. She'll never forget how they fought for her at Enies Lobby, literally risking everything just to bring her back. They gave Robin a reason to live, as she finally got the kind of friends she always dreamed of having. So Robin will always be by their side and support them in whatever they do. And Jinbe would obviously also give Luffy and Nami his full support, as he'll always stand by Luffy's side no matter what. But yeah, he does think Nami is terrifying. I mean, remember when Jinbe was just casually laughing and told Nami that she should just release Luffy from the literal cage she had put him in? Yeah, Nami did not want that. And Jinbe, he wasn't just terrified of her. I mean, she was literally on fire. He also thought Nami had Conqueror's Haki. Yeah, that's how terrifying Nami can be. So yeah, Jinbe will obviously be happy for both Luffy and Nami, but he's also very worried for Luffy's future, as Nami can be very bossy and really scary. Now, someone you definitely wouldn't expect to show up to Luffy and Nami's wedding is Ace. Yeah, he's literally gonna pull up as a ghost, floating down like an angel, just to see Luffy's wedding with his own eyes. I mean, Luffy marrying someone as hot as Nami is gonna be so shocking it's gonna send shockwaves throughout the world, all the way to Ace's grave, and boom, Ace would appear in ghost form just to see the wedding. And when he does, he's gonna be super proud of his little brother, who he loves more than anything in the world. Next up, we've got Vivi, and she would be super happy that Luffy and Nami are getting married. She'd 100% convince them to hold the wedding in Alabasta, and it would be the biggest wedding and party the world has ever seen. Like, you'd literally see the fireworks from space. However, some people might say Vivi would feel sad that Luffy isn't marrying her. And sure, we all saw how much he loved her when he literally punched her in the face. But jokes aside, Vivi would not be sad at all. No, she'd genuinely be super happy for both of them. Because to Vivi, Luffy and Nami are her best friends and basically like her family. Because don't forget, Vivi is still technically a Straw Hat. But talking about having this huge wedding party, that means they're gonna need a massive wedding cake. Yeah, this wedding cake will be so huge that Big Mom will literally smell it all the way from Whole Cake Island. And of course, when she catches that scent, she's instantly getting on her ship and sailing straight to Alabasta. Then, when she finally sees the cake, she's gonna be so happy and instantly want to take a bite. But here's the problem. When she realizes that the cake is for Luffy and Nami's wedding, she's gonna remember everything they did to her. For example, how they completely wrecked her wedding plans with pudding, destroyed her giant wedding cake, and how they even smashed the portrait of Mother Carmel. So yeah, She's instantly going into her rage mode, ready to destroy the entire island. But don't worry, thanks to the fishmen, they'll just take a slice of that cake and lure Big Mom away. Because let's be real, she obviously wants the cake more than anything. Someone else who would come to the wedding, but who wouldn't to eat the entire wedding cake, is Bartolomeo. Because as we all know, Bardo is a Straw Hat fanboy. Yeah, he literally worships the Straw Hats. I mean, if you can figure out that this guy is Zoro, even though he's got the best disguise ever, then you're obviously the biggest Straw Hat fan ever. Plus, he literally sees Luffy as a god, and the Bardo Pirates are basically just a Straw Hat fan club. So when he sees two of the most important people in his life getting married, he's gonna be super happy and literally start crying. And knowing Bardo, he'd make posters about their wedding and place them everywhere on the entire planet just to celebrate their love. Now, we gotta talk about Genzo and Nojiko as well. Nojiko would just start crying when she sees the wedding invitation, as she'll be so proud of her sister and just so happy that Nami's finally living her best life, instead of suffering under Arlong. But Genzo, he would be panicking. He loves Nami so much. I mean, he basically sees her as his own daughter. So he would absolutely take Luffy to the side and tell him that if he ever hurts Nami, he's gonna hunt him down. Still, he's actually gonna be super happy that Nami is marrying Luffy, because Luffy was the guy who took down Arlong and freed Kokoyashi Village from his cruel rule. And I mean, Luffy is definitely better than any of the creepy pirates Genzo imagines are drooling over her hot bounty poster. Oh, and Genzo would of course go sit by Bellmare's grave and tell her everything. How Nami's getting married, how strong she's become, and how proud she'd be. Some other people who would be shocked by the news are Law and Kid. But honestly, none of them would care that much. I mean, Law would absolutely get bullied by his crew into going to the wedding, as this guy obviously doesn't want to go. Still, he does genuinely care about Luffy and Nami, so he'd still show up. But yeah, he'd probably sit in the corner with a miserable face and just be quietly happy for them. But Kid, he would just laugh. Yeah, he's heading full speed towards the One Piece instead of caring about something so stupid as love. Now, how do you think Dragon and Sabo would react to Luffy and Nami getting married? And how would you react? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and watch this video next.